During the opening credits, we see pictures of 3 girls at different stages of their lives: childhood, adolescence, and young adulthood. The girls are Tabitha Wright, Lisa Swan, and Shelby LEDs. Each of them shows great potential, with their senior superlatives describing them as most likely to be famous, most likely to succeed, and most likely to shine. Alongside the girls, the prologue also introduces photos of an unnamed boy, accompanied by clippings from a psychological profile that describe him as extremely dangerous. Shelby and her boyfriend Rob are driving down the highway on their way to Cincinnati, Ohio. Rob pushes the car to its maximum speed, prompting Shelby to ask him to slow down. He listens, and before long, they join a small convoy of vehicles, a semi-truck and a Jeep. The group eventually pulls over for gas. Rob steps out and strikes up a conversation with the other drivers. The truck driver warns them that the highway ahead is packed with heavy traffic and offers to show them an alternate route. Meanwhile, as the Jeep driver heads inside to buy some chocolate, Shelby spots a terrified woman peeking out from the window of the semi-truck. Just as the woman tries to say something, the truck driver appears, and she quickly hides in fear. When the Jeep driver and Rob step out of the shop, the Jeep driver mentions that the truck driver seems strange, pointing out how he barely speaks. Rob brushes it off, and soon they're all back on the road. As they drive, Shelby insists that the truck driver isn't alone and says she saw a girl with him. A few minutes later, Shelby spots the same girl again, this time holding a piece of paper. Suddenly, the girl throws it, and it lands against their windshield with the words, "Help me," written on it. Moments later, she makes a desperate leap from the semi-truck, crashing onto their car. While the truck speeds ahead without stopping, Rob, Shelby, and the Jeep driver pull over immediately to help the injured girl. The Jeep driver urges Rob to follow the truck and get its license plate. Rob jumps back into his car and speeds after the semi, while the Jeep driver and Shelby stay behind to help the girl. After a long chase, the truck suddenly vanishes from sight. Rob gets out to look around, but soon finds himself cornered by the driver, who then takes off back down the hill. When Rob finally returns, he discovers the girls are gone, and the Jeep driver is lying injured on the ground. The man weakly tells Rob that the truck driver took them. Determined to rescue them, the 2 men climb into the Jeep and track the semi to an old house. Once there, the Jeep driver insists he'll try to stop the truck driver first. He creeps to the front of the house and hides behind the screen door, while the semi-driver is heard speaking to someone on the phone. The truck driver is saying he is the woman's father and that he was taking her to a rehabilitation facility for a drug addiction. Meanwhile, Rob waits inside the Jeep. He hears a noise and discovers a CB radio in the center console. Suddenly, another sound comes from the back seat. Turning around, he notices movement under a tarp. He pulls the tarp aside and is horrified to find the 2 girls bound and gagged inside the man's Jeep. The semi-driver notices the Jeep and steps outside. Without hesitation, the Jeep driver attacks him, smashing his skull with a sledgehammer and killing him instantly. Rob watches in shock and frantically searches for the car keys to escape, but the man approaches, laughing maniacally. To Rob's horror, the Jeep driver suddenly holds up the keys outside his window. Then, he smashes the window with his sledgehammer and lunges at Rob. The fate of everyone in the car is left unknown. The movie then shifts to Tabitha, who has just arrived at her aunt's large house. Inside, she finds her 2 cousins, Max and Danny, completely alone. She asks the boys where the babysitter, June, is, and they tell her that she had already left. Later that evening, after the boys are in bed, Tabitha hears a knock at the door. Peering through the peephole, she sees a mysterious figure wearing a hooded raincoat. She opens the door and asks who he is. The figure introduces himself as Owen, the babysitter June's boyfriend, explaining that he's worried because she missed cheerleading practice. Tabitha tells him that the babysitter has already left and that she knows nothing else. After hearing this, Owen quietly leaves. After that, Tabitha heads upstairs to the guest bedroom and is startled to find the entire room filled with clown toys. One doll, in particular, terrifies her, a life-sized figure seated in a rocking chair. Her sense of unease deepens when the television suddenly turns on by itself, with the remote resting in the clown's lap. She goes near to the clown and takes a remote and turns it off. She then tries to go to bed, but a thunderstorm outside soon awakens her. Still unnerved by the clown, Tabitha turns away from it and tries to sleep. Unbeknownst to her, the clown's head slowly turns to watch her. Later, the phone rings. Tabitha gets up to answer, unaware that the clown has been watching her the entire time. On the line is her aunt, calling to check on the children. Tabitha assures her that everything is fine and even compliments her on the new house. But then she nervously admits her unease about the clown in her room. When her aunt asks which one, Tabitha replies, "The one bigger than me." Behind her, The life-size clown rises from the chair and begins walking toward her. On the phone, her aunt says that she has no such doll. Tabitha panics and drops the phone. She turns around and sees the rocking chair empty. Clown is not there. Terrified, she slips into the boys' room and locks it. Tabitha whispers to wake up the boys and tells them to hide, saying that a very bad man is in the house. The boys insist that it is just Owen wanting to play, which only increases her terror. After the older boy says that Owen just wants to have fun, triple blade spikes pierce through the doors several times, missing Tabitha by only inches. She pushes their dresser against the door and gets the boys out through the window, telling them to go to their neighbor's house and get help. The clown smashes through the dresser and reaches for Tabitha. She throws a lamp at him and quickly climbs out the window. Moments later, the clown stands and tries to stab her hand. Tabitha falls down and runs to the shed. When she opens a closet, she discovers the corpse of June, the babysitter. The body falls forward and pins her to the ground. Moments later, the clown enters the room, laughing with a knife in hand. His laugh sounds eerily similar to the Jeep driver's. As the clown comes closer, the scene fades to black. Soon after the clown scene ends, the scene cuts to Tabitha in a police interrogation room. She appears disoriented and in shock. An FBI agent questions her about her attacker. In her shock, she doesn't answer any of his questions. He soon leaves. Tabitha then starts having flashbacks of her and her friends when they were children. The scene cuts to Lisa, Shelby, Tabitha, and a boy standing in front of a school. The kids are showing off their art out of a shoebox with a peephole. Each girl's is artistically different. The little boy with them wants to see all of their boxes and refuses to show them his until then. Tabitha's is a circus, Shelby's is a farm, and Lisa's is a sleepover with 3 dolls. The boy calls each one boring, and as he looks at each one, calls it worse than the last. The young Tabitha then looks at the boy's art and recoils in shock and horror. The boy, however, smiles and states, "It's funny, right?" To which she replies, "No, it isn't." The camera cuts to the school's name, revealed to be Briar Hills Elementary. When it cuts back to the children, all 3 girls are gone. The little boy smiles and peers into his box. Inside is a chained-up rat with its skin pulled back to reveal its organs. It becomes clear that the boy is deeply disturbed. The movie then shifts to Lisa, who is with her boyfriend, Dan, as they begin searching for her roommate, Kat, who disappeared during a party the night before. Their search leads them to an old hotel where Kat had said she would be. Lisa tries to enter, but the caretaker, a man with his face covered by a mask, refuses to let her in. She goes to Dan and convinces him to pose as a health inspector and check inside instead. Dan goes inside and the caretaker shows him a music player and encourages him to play it, promising a surprise at the end. Dan agrees, but when the song finishes, a knife suddenly shoots out of the speaker, stabbing him in the eye. Outside, Lisa keeps trying to call Dan, but he doesn't answer, unaware that he is already dead. Growing impatient, she sneaks into the house and enters a room filled with beds. There, she encounters a deaf man who seems willing to help her. As she tries to talk to him, someone approaches, and the deaf man quickly hides her in one of the beds, drawing the curtain closed. Inside, Lisa discovers dead bodies hidden within the beds, and her friend Kat, who is still alive. While she struggles to free Kat, the deaf man reveals his true nature, turning out to be the killer, and he subdues her. Back at the police station, Tabitha is being questioned by a therapist who asks about her friend Shelby. Tabitha explains that they were all good friends back in school, but haven't seen each other in years. Confused, she asks how the therapist even knows about her hometown of Briar Hills. The therapist mentions a young boy she once had as a patient. Before leaving the room, she tells Tabitha that Lisa and Shelby are also there, and to sit tight while she goes to find a phone that works. Uneasy, the therapist quickly leaves, and the door opens and shuts behind her. Still puzzled and scared, Tabitha notices the door is unlocked. She steps out and soon understands why the therapist left in such a hurry. This isn't a police station at all. At the end of the hallway, she finds the therapist lying dead on the floor. As she rushes to the body, a police officer approaches. But when he begins his trademark maniacal laugh, Tabitha realizes he's not a cop at all. He's the killer. He chases her through the building and down into the basement, where she is eventually trapped between 2 glass walls. When the lights flicker on behind the glass, Tabitha sees Lisa and then Shelby, both chained up with their skin grotesquely opened. The killer enters, taunting them, but soon reveals that Lisa and Shelby are actually unharmed. Their open skin was only a trick. Realizing he now intends to hurt Shelby for real, Tabitha pretends to laugh along with him. As he draws closer, she stabs him in the neck with a scalpel she had hidden in her hand. Finally, she manages to free her friends and help them escape. They try to escape together, but when Lisa opens the wrong door, the killer stabs her. Tabitha and Shelby run, climbing up a ladder with the killer close behind. He grabs Shelby's ankle, pulling her down, and both of them fall to the basement floor. Tabitha, heartbroken by what she just witnessed, keeps climbing. When she finally reaches ground level, she finds herself trapped inside a cage. Moments later, an elevator whirs to life, and Tabitha realizes the killer is coming up. She hides in what she believes to be a closet, only to discover the clown mask, costume, and the mutilated corpses of others the killer had murdered for mocking him as a child. Suddenly, the killer peers through the peephole and locks her inside. It's then she realizes she's actually in the back of a truck. The truck doesn't get far from the house, the same house shown at the beginning of the film. Inside, Tabitha grips one of the spiked handles and waits. The killer laughs as he looks through the peephole again, but this time she strikes, stabbing him through the face and killing him. She coldly remarks, "Now that was funny." As the truck drives away, Tabitha reflects on how she and her friends used to laugh at him when they were kids, thinking he was just a joke. After he was sent away, they forgot about him, but he never forgot them. The film ends with her admitting that, even though it's finally over, she still can't get his laugh out of her head. In this way, movie ends here.